Perfect. So in regards to, obviously we went over the different zones of the body, and is this again with working with Dr. Fleet's zone zone technique as well? Or sorry, what was
Zone therapy. Yeah,
zone
he
therapy?
called it zone
Okay,
therapy. Yeah.
yeah. Did he also work with the same six systems, or was
Yeah.
that
The
different?
systems are 100% his. I learned them. I learned those via zone therapy. The zones are the same.
Yeah, that's great.
Here's what you'll find interesting. I'll tell you something that you'll like. So you're familiar with the chiropractic safety pin cycle? Did they teach that to you
Yes.
guys too? Okay. So the safety pin cycle says, this is very interesting. Safety pin cycle says, I'll do my best to explain it.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's the brain, here's the spinal cord, here's the nerves. The nerves are going to different cells and organs and muscles, etc. So the brain is sending signals down the cord, but there's something called a subluxation, which is a misalignment of a bone putting pressure on the nerve. So what happens is the brain sends this signal down the cord, but because the nerve is now interfered with, the signal that ultimately goes to wherever it goes is a faulty signal. And that part of the body cannot work as well as it normally would. So then the chiropractor finds where the bone's out of line, puts it in place. Now that's released, and now the brain sends the brain sends the signal, which is now not interfered with, and it goes to wherever it's going. That's the safety pin cycle. Putting the bone in place is like closing the safety pin, so that cycle can go from the brain down the cord to the wherever that nerve is going. Well, the zone technique says something a little different. The zone technique says, what if the brain is unbalanced to begin with? Let's just say the brain is unbalanced. So it's sending out a faulty signal to begin with. So now it's sending a faulty signal down. The subluxation might be relieved, but kind of like, who cares? Because all you've done is open up this faulty signal to wherever, which is why, unfortunately, many people get adjusted regularly. Many people become subluxation free and they're still sick. They don't heal. So at least on a physical level, that explains
Yeah.
that to a degree. So the zone technique says, let's see what's happening in the brain. And there's occipital fibers, which has nothing to do with SOT, by the way, because SOT has occipital fibers too. SOT has 7 points across 3 levels. That's 21 points. The zone technique has 6 points across. They have nothing to do with each other. But anyway, not to mention the SOT points. And again, nothing against SOT, but not to mention the SOT points, they tell you vastly different things than the zone points. So when you know the zone points, those points on the head actually relate to the 6 brain centers that control those 6 zones I talked about before. When you feel the head, you can see which brain centers are balanced and which are not. Now, a brain center that's balanced can do 2 things, but a brain center that's not balanced cannot do these 2 things. Those 2 things are, a brain center that's balanced can monitor the system it controls properly, and 2, can send the right signals to that system to either get it healthy or keep it healthy. But a brain center that's not balanced, it cannot monitor the system it controls properly. It doesn't really know what's going on there. And even if it did, it can't send the right signals to the systems in question. So the zone technique actually finds out where the brain is not balanced, and it balances the brain so the brain can send a proper signal down the cord so the safety pin cycle becomes meaningful. And how do you balance the brain? Well, you're not a brain surgeon. You can't cut in the skull and start fixing the brain centers, but there's points in the cord that you stimulate. And when you stimulate those points in the cord, it sends energy up the cord and resets the brain. And you can tell by rechecking the back of the head, by the way. The body is like an electrical machine. The brain is the positive pole. The cord is the negative pole, kind of like a car battery, positive pole, negative pole. So when you feel the back of the head, you know what's happening in the positive pole, and then you stimulate different points in the negative pole, sends energy up, resets the brain center, and now the brain is sending the right signals and monitoring the body properly, which is why someone can get off a liver transplant list or not have to get their gallbladder out or not have to get a hysterectomy or not have endometriosis anymore. It's not some magic adjustment. It's resetting the brain, which no other chiropractic technique that I know of is doing. And by the way, what I teach in zone, the basic course in zone school, like some chiropractor says, oh, I want to join zone school. They just go to zoneschoolofhealing.com. It says join here. They get immediate and lifetime access to 50 hours of me teaching them. They can watch 5 minutes a day or watch 10 minutes a day or watch an hour a day, but they start learning online. We also have 8 hours of live group calls where you can ask me questions as you're going through the material. That's just the basic course. So as someone's going through the basic course, they're learning not only the zone technique, remember it's 50 hours. So let's say 3 of those hours of the 50 are dedicated to what I'm talking about with you now, back of the head, spinal cord, this, but 47 hours are related to the metaphysical aspect of healing and understanding how concepts in the subconscious manifest in the body. And you realize how to intentionally tap into the subconscious, because there are chiropractors who have lived in history, like Gonstead, BJ Palmer, DD Palmer, who inadvertently tapped in, but they thought it was like, BJ Palmer thought, I'm going to hit this atlas, and that's why these great results are coming. That's not why the great results were coming. He was inadvertently tapping into something which I teach people to tap into on purpose.
That is amazing. And again, I don't think many people take into consideration the whole metaphysical and also just the body's ability of and also the subconscious as well. I think it's something that I think maybe stems more from school. Obviously, we're solely just focused on the physical rather than the metaphysical as well.
It's interesting. On that note, I'll tell you a story as we kind of close. There was a chiropractor in California in the 1930s, got great results. I mean, like, one of the best results in chiropractic history. And what he was doing was he was inadvertently tapping into some of the principles I teach. I don't think he understood these principles at all, but he inadvertently tapped in. So people would come to him with every disease under the sun, every problem under the sun, and he would listen to them on the first visit. He'd say, no problem, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, you're going to get all better. And they did. So there was another chiropractor that wanted to observe him. So he said, hey, I think you're probably one of the greatest chiropractors living. Can I see what you're doing? He said, yeah, come. So the chiropractor watched him all day. Listen to this. This chiropractor, every single patient, first of all, he did the knee chest, the old BJ Palmer upper cervical knee chest. Every single patient, 100% of the patients, he would do C2PRS. Every patient, C2PRS. He didn't palpate anyone. He didn't x-ray anyone. 100% of the people C2PRS, and got some of the greatest results in modern healing history, quite frankly. So the other chiropractor at the end of the day says, I don't understand, like, what is going on here? You don't palpate anyone. You don't x-ray anyone. You can't possibly think that everyone in this town is C2PRS. Like, some people might be C2PL something. You're making their C2 worse. And not everyone's even C2. Maybe you should be adjusting C1. And the guy said, look, guy goes, if you notice, and again, what I'm going to say now is part of the story because it's really happened. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with this part. I'm just relaying the story. The guy said, no, you're right. I don't check. But he says, if you notice, the head of my tables are all pointing north. And the energy of the universe runs south to north. So when the patient goes there and I do that, they get into that energy of the universe and they heal from anything. Now, again, like, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but he thought it was true. So he was inadvertently tapping into some principles that I'm teaching in zone school. And of course, he became some miracle worker because the patients had the idea that this guy's going to touch me and I'm going to get better. And he believed it too because of that north thing. But anyway, that's just an example. Here we are at chiropractic school learning to be specific. I mean, this guy couldn't be less specific. And meanwhile, are they getting better from his adjustment? On a physical level, no, they're getting better despite his adjustment on a physical level. But there are metaphysical principles at play, which he doesn't even understand, that he's inadvertently tapping into. And the rest is history.
That is an incredible story, and I know a lot of people who are listening are going to really, really enjoy this one. So thank you. I really appreciate that.
100%.
Just before we close up, is if anyone wanted to get in contact with you through social media, example, what is the best way to get hold of you?
I'll say a couple things. let's
Sure.
say there's a chiropractor watching, like, I want to join Zone School
Yeah, yeah,
now.
go for it. Yeah,
Go to zoneschoolofhealing.com. On the homepage, it says enroll here, and you're going to be the best decision of your healing career. So that's one. Let's say someone's like, well, this sounds really good. I just have a couple questions. Go to the same place, zoneschoolofhealing.com, click on book a discovery call, and one of our docs will talk to you and answer your questions. And if you want to join, join. And if you don't want to join, don't join. That's that. And if someone must ask me a question, which I think those first two options will take care of everything. But if someone must ask me a question, email me at Dr. Pete at zonetechnique.com. Dr. Pete, DRPETE at zonetechnique.com if you want to ask me a question. Otherwise, go to zoneschoolofhealing.com and either book a discovery call or just enroll.
that's great. Thank you. I'll add that all in the description of the podcast, and as long as as soon as it's ready, I can send you the link, and we can go from there. I
I'll
just want
see.
to
I'll try to
say,
I have an email list of 20,000 people. I'll send it out to them.
yeah, yeah, please do. That'd be great. Yeah, awesome.
You're gonna get more views on this episode than ever.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you. I just want to say not only for your time today, but everything that you're doing for the chiropractic profession is hugely, hugely appreciated. So I'm very grateful that you came on and shared all your knowledge and wisdom today. So thank you so much.
100% my pleasure. I had a really good time. Time flew.
It did, it did indeed. I'll let you carry on and enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll speak soon.
Cool.
Thank you, Dr. Pete. You take care.